Hello and welcome to today's heart-centered Hatha yoga flow. Today's flow is centered around creating space in the mind and in the body to help us release any stagnant emotions or energy that might be detracting us from our capabilities. So together, let us tune in to the present moment. Let us harness the capabilities of the breath and find peace and stillness in what is. When you're ready, find a comfortable seated position, maybe closing the eyes, softening the shoulders, and beginning to tune into the breath. You might like to place one palm on the belly, the other on the heart space, to really facilitate this connection, to help ground you and anchor you in this very moment. On your next inhale, gently raising the arms skywards, lengthening the torso. Exhale, palms to heart center. From here, we'll turn to face the short edge of the mat, coming into a kneeling position, diamond pose. Glutes are resting atop of the heels. Placing your palms in your lap. Breathing in nourishing energy. And gently releasing. Mindfully placing your palms on the knees. Inhale, scoop the chest forwards, gaze up. Exhale, press into the palms around the spine, chin to chest. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. A few more rounds. Finding these beautiful spinal waves as we flow through some extensions and flexions, mobilizing the spinal column, waking up the body. One more round. Returning the spine to a neutral position. Inhale, raise the arms skywards. Exhale, twist the torso to the left, placing the outer edge of that right palm against the left thigh, and you might like to wrap your left arm behind the back, perhaps gently placing your left fingertips near the right hip, maybe gazing back. Feeling your spine growing longer with every inhalation, and seeing if you can twist a little further with every exhalation. Returning to center. Inhale, raise the arms skywards. Exhale, take your version of this twist on the other side. Breathe. Inhale, return to center. Well done. From here, we'll cactus the arms out wide, elbows at shoulder height, broaden across the heart space. Exhale, curl and round, draw the forearms together. Inhale, open. Exhale, close a few more times. Feeling a beautiful opening around the chest. Giving yourself permission to surrender. Knowing that it is okay to detach from what no longer serves you. From here, interlacing your fingers together behind the back, extending the arms, gaze up. And gently release. Great job. Coming into tabletop on hands and knees. Join the big toes together, separate the knees slightly, sinking the hips back towards the heels, arms are out in front. Child's pose. Perhaps resting your forehead on the mat. Breathing into the hips. Noticing where you're feeling sensation. Inhale, roll through cat pose as we lower the pelvis down, coming up into cobra, broadening the heart space. Exhale, send the hips back, child's pose. And again, inhale, press into the palms, roll through Vyaghrasana. Exhale, Malasana. Keeping a slight activation in the lower abdomen here so that we can protect the lower back. A few more rounds, finding your cadence. On this next round, roll through into Cobra and pause here for a few breaths. Turning on the back of the arms, feeling the engagement in the triceps. Exhale, child's pose, well done. Breathe. Inhale, rise into tabletop, and from here we'll come into puppy pose, Uttana Shishosana, extending the arms out in front, keeping the hips level with the knees, and lowering the ears so that they're aligned with the biceps, keeping the spine neutral, or if you'd like to take it further, you can come into an extension, guiding the chest towards the earth, perhaps resting on your chin or lowering your forehead onto the earth. Heart melting pose. Feeling your connection to Mother Earth. Feeling your connection to this very moment. Slowly gliding the torso forwards, lowering the body down onto the mat. Sphinx pose, Salamba Bhujangasana. Elbows are aligned with the shoulders. You might like to gaze behind you, ensuring that your hips, the knees, and the ankles are aligned. Really attempting to pull the chest forwards as you roll the shoulders back, allowing the heart to open. pressing into the tops of the feet as well as the pubic bone to avoid any compression in the lower back. Seeing if you can soften the muscles of the glutes, softening the facial features, unclenching the jaw. Breathe. Lowering down into crocodile pose for a breath, resting your forehead on the palms. Placing the palms under your shoulders and guiding yourself upright into a kneeling position, we're going to come into hero pose. So we have a few variations. Inner thighs and knees together, separating the shins slightly, scoop out the fleshy portion of your calves and guide your glutes between the feet. Toes are pointed towards the back of the mat. Option to stay here. Alternatively, placing your palms underneath the shoulders, fingertips facing towards the glutes, opening the heart space, perhaps guiding the head backwards, feeling a beautiful release, extending the spinal column. If this is at all uncomfortable for your knees, you're always welcome to sit in diamond pose or child's pose. If you'd like to take it a little further, mindfully lowering down onto the forearms, keeping the elbows aligned with the shoulders, opening the heart space, surrendering, and perhaps guiding the upper back, the shoulders down onto the mat, resting the back of your head on the earth. It might feel nice to interlace your arms together overhead, or perhaps cactus the arms out wide. Gifting yourself one more loving breath in this posture. And if you are bent over, placing your palms on your feet and gently guiding yourself upright to a seated position. One breath here. And from here, coming up into a kneeling position. Knees are in line with the hips, knees are hip-width distance apart. We're going to come into camel pose. You have the option to tuck the toes under, bringing the heels slightly closer towards you for an easier option. You might also find that this variation is a little bit more soothing for the knees. The first variation is baby camel, placing your palms on the sacral region of your spine, fingertips towards the earth. Gazing back as you imagine as though you can draw the elbows together, pushing the hips forwards. Inhale, release, returning the torso upright. And again, exhale, push the pelvis forwards, gaze back, elongate the spine. Inhale, raise. Great job. We'll take one more round of this baby camel, seeing if you can go a little deeper into the posture. Breathe. Inhale, raise. Lowering the glutes down onto the heels, gifting yourself one mindful breath in diamond pose. You might like to close the eyes, Returning to a kneeling position and either staying with baby camel or we'll take a full expression of Uttanasana, guiding the fingertips to the heels, arms are extended. If you have the range of motion, perhaps guiding your head all the way back, relaxing the glutes, breathe. One more loving breath in camel pose. Mindfully releasing diamond pose. One breath here. And again, we'll take another round of camel pose, finding your variation. Knowing that you can always take a break, or you might like to join us in a dynamic camel as we flow from one foot to the other, extending the opposite arm, broadening across the heart space, reaching back, engaging the core, making these movements as small or as large as you would like. Pausing anywhere that feels a little interesting. Well done. From here, big toes together, separating the knees slightly, hips to the heels, child's pose. This is a beautiful counter posture after that deep back extension. Notice the space that's being created around the lumbar and sacral regions of the spine, and seeing if you can guide your breath there. On your next inhale, raising up into a tabletop position, engaging the core, and we'll come into rabbit pose, Sasangasana. Guiding the top of your head down onto the mat, imagining as though you can get your forehead to your knees, perhaps you can, whilst grabbing a hold of the heels. Separating the shoulder blades. Seeing if you can raise the hips a little higher. Round the spine a little more. And gently release, child's pose. Well done. Inhale to tabletop. From here, grounding down through the palms, tucking the left toes under, extending the left leg back. Inhale, float the left leg up to hip height. Raise the right arm, keeping the hips squared, and we'll come into tiger pose, Vyaghrasana. Flexing the left knee, guiding the right arm back to grab a hold of the medial edge of that left ankle, raising the leg, broadening across the heart space, pressing into the index finger and the thumb of that left hand to really protect your wrist, lengthening the back of the neck. 2 more loving breaths. And gently release. Tabletop. Separate the shoulder blades, cat pose, breathe into the back body. Mindfully return to tabletop, and we'll take this on the other side. Tucking the right toes under, gliding the right leg back. Inhale, float the right leg up, extend the left arm, either staying here in bird dog or finding your expression of tiger pose. Reconnecting with your inner softness, with your inner stability. Gently release, tabletop, and separating the shoulder blades, pressing into the palms, cat pose, engaging the core, chin to chest, breathe. Inhale, tabletop, tenting up onto the fingertips, engaging the core and guiding the right foot down between the palms. Lengthening the spine. Low crescent moon, Anjaneyasana, keeping that right knee aligned with the ankle. Feeling a beautiful release for the hip flexors and perhaps raising the arms skywards. Opening the heart space, maybe finding a bit of a back bend, but really finding length before you arch the back. Seeing if you can sink those hips a little lower. Scissor the inner thighs together to protect the pelvic ball. Breathe. Mindfully place the palms on the earth. Returning to tabletop pose. One breath here. And we'll set up to take Anjaneyasana on the other side, finding your variation, knowing that it's always okay to find a little bit of movement between postures. If it feels nice to wiggle the hips around a little bit, know that that's okay. Remember that this is your practice and you can always modify it accordingly. Offer yourself a loving compassion. One more breath in Anjaneyasana. Mindfully placing the palms under the shoulders, tabletop Brahmanasana. Breathe. Again, tenting up onto the fingertips, placing the right foot between the palms, Anjaneyasana. Inhale, raise the arms skywards, join the palms together. Cactus the arms out wide. Exhale, forearms together. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. A few more times. Feeling the articulation in the upper body. Allowing the breath to guide you. And from here, interlacing your fingers together behind the back, gaze up. One more breath. Release the bind, raise the arms skywards, and lower them down to frame the front foot. From here, keeping the left arm grounded, we'll grab a hold of our left foot with our right arm, coming into a beautiful quad stretch, a variation of lizard pose, Uttana Shishosana, guiding the hips forwards, relaxing the shoulders, activating that left arm to protect the wrist. Breathe. Mindfully release the bind, extend the back leg, place the right palm down on the earth, tabletop pose. Reconnect with the breath. Return inwards. From here, left knee to the chest, placing the left foot down, Anjaneyasana. Inhale, float the arms up. Cactus the arms out wide. Exhale, curl and round, chin to chest. Inhale, open. And again, just like this. And interlacing your fingers together behind the back, lengthening the arms, broadening the heart. Releasing what no longer serves you as you call in more love and more light into your own experience. Reminding yourself just how strong you are. Your capabilities are limitless. Raise the arms, frame the front foot, and coming into a variation of lizard pose. Breathing into the hips, breathing into the quadriceps, keeping that left knee aligned with the ankle. Re-extending the right leg, returning the left palm to the earth, tabletop, and sinking the hips back to the heels, child's pose. Press into the palms, inhale, raise the torso, tabletop, tucking the toes under, advancing the fingertips slightly, and we'll come up into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. If you have the range of motion, guiding the heels towards the earth, but knowing that you can always keep a considerable bend in your knees. It might feel nice to pedal out the legs, keeping the arms activated, and in your own time finding stillness. Elongating the back of the neck, creating space between the earlobes and the tops of the shoulders. Gaze is between the feet. Inhale, raise the right leg, three-legged dog, externally rotate the hip, flex the knee, and guide the right heel to the glutes. Keeping the shoulders squared. Seeing if you can raise that knee towards the sky, feeling a beautiful hamstring stretch along the left leg. Shifting your weight forwards as you guide your shoulders aligned with the wrists, coming into Wild Thing, guiding the right leg behind the body, raising the right arm overhead, raising the pelvis, grounding down through the left palm and the left foot, relaxing the glutes, broadening the heart space, and mindfully placing the right palm under the right shoulder. Exhale, three-legged dog, Ekapada Adho Mukha Svanasana. Bending the right knee and guiding the right foot between the hands. Coming up into Warrior One, Vyaghrasana, squaring off the hips. Again, keeping that right knee aligned with the ankle. Interlacing your fingers together behind the back, gaze up. Broaden the heart space. Inhale, re-extend the arms. Frame the front foot. Stepping back into three-legged dog. It might be helpful to shorten the stance slightly. You might like to take a three-legged chaturanga or meet us in downward facing dog. Leaning into what feels right for you today. Preparing to take this sequence on the left. Inhale, float the left leg up, three-legged dog. One breath here. Externally rotate the hip, bend the knee, and guide the left heel to the glutes. Lowering the right heel onto the earth, feeling a beautiful stretch for the hamstrings. Keeping that core activated. Noticing if you're puffing up the ribs and seeing if you can soften. Re-extending the leg, guiding the shoulders over the wrists and setting up for Wild Thing as you guide the left foot behind the body, raising the left arm overhead, finding length. Breathe. Mindfully returning the left palm onto the left shoulder, re-extending the left leg, three-legged dog. And from here we'll take a three-legged chaturanga, pushing back into downward facing dog. Breathe. Raise the left leg. Guide the left knee to the chest, placing the left foot down, pivoting on the back foot, warrior one. Firmly grounding down through the blade edge of that right foot to help support you. Reminding yourself that the majority of your weight is in that front leg. And from here, interlacing your fingers together behind the back, gazing up. Breathe. Is it possible to create a 90-degree angle between that left leg and the earth? Re-extend the arms, float the arms down, step the right foot up to meet the left, forward fold. Perhaps bending the knees considerably, you might like to come into ragdoll, interlacing opposite hand around opposite elbow. Finding length along the entire posterior chain. Placing the palms on the earth or on the shins, inhale halfway lift out of the Uttanasana. Exhale Uttanasana twice more, finding your cadence. If you're feeling slightly more opened, you might like to extend the legs completely, perhaps placing your palms behind the back of the ankles or the calves, doing your best to keep the hips aligned with the ankles. Maybe guiding your nose towards your knees. Breathe. Bending the knees and mindfully rolling up into Tadasana, one vertebra at a time. It might be nice to close the eyes here, re-establish your connection to this moment. Roll the shoulders back, root down through the feet. Inhale, raise the arms skywards. Exhale, lower the arms down behind your back, interlacing the fingers together, raising the left knee to hip height. And from here we'll hinge forwards into a version of Warrior 3, guiding the left leg back, keeping the hips squared, either pointing or flexing that back foot. Again, feeling a beautiful heart opening, engaging that core, finding a fixed point, or for a challenge, closing the eyes. Breathe. Inhale, raise, lower the left foot down, release the bind. Tadasana. Inhale, raise the arms skywards. Exhale, float the arms down behind your back, interlacing your fingers so that the opposite index is in front, and preparing to take Warrior 3 on the other side, raising the right knee to hip height, hinging the torso forwards with control as you begin to extend that right leg, finding stillness. Recognizing that it's quite possible that one leg is considerably stronger than the other, so if you wobble around, know that you're not alone. Inhale, return to Tadasana, well done. Breathe. From here we'll come into Natrajasana, dancer's pose. Flexing the left knee, raising it to hip height. Mindfully guiding the left heel towards the glutes as you grab a hold of the medial edge of that left ankle with your left hand, raising the right arm skywards. And maybe beginning to raise that left leg, ever so slightly hinging the torso forwards. Extending the right fingertips out in front, engaging the core. Seeing if you can lift that leg a little higher, maybe hinge forwards a little further. This is also a beautiful stretch for the hamstrings on the right hand side. Mindfully release, Tadasana. Preparing to take Lord of the Dance on the other side, grounding down through the left leg. Inhale, flex the right knee to hip height and guide the right heel towards the right glute, using your right arm to grab a hold of the medial edge of that foot or perhaps the ankle. Inhale, raise the left arm skywards and begin to raise that right leg towards the sky, while simultaneously gently guiding the torso forwards. Doing your best to keep the hips squared. Doing your best to find stability in that left foot, in that left leg. Breathe. One more loving breath. And gently release or shimmy out of it. Knowing that it's a practice, some days you're going to have more control than others. Finding your stillness in Tadasana. Well done. Walking to the front of the mat, separating the legs slightly, heels in, toes out. Raise the arms skywards, palms together. Exhale, hinge and bend, Malasana, garland's pose. Palms are at heart center and using the triceps to press into the thighs. You might like to extend the arms out on a diagonal like bird wings, gazing up. And perhaps finding a bind as you interlace your fingers together behind your leg. Again, feeling a beautiful heart opener, a lovely release for the shoulders. Breathe. Mindfully release the bind, drawing the palms together, one breath here, and finding your variation of this twist on the other side. Gently release, palms together, one breath here. And gently lowering your glutes down onto the earth, placing your palms under the thighs. Inhale, spinal extension. Exhale, spinal flexion, twice more. Finding another variation of cat and cow. You might find more stability keeping your palms on your knees. From here, we'll prepare to roll down onto our backs. So if you have any accessories in your hair, you might like to remove those. Lowering down one vertebra at a time, guiding the heels to the glutes, feeling your connection to the mat, feeling the body, noticing the breath. Setting up for bridge pose, Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, grounding down through the heels, raising the pelvis, the lower back, the mid back, squeezing the glutes together at the top, engaging the inner thighs, and mindfully lowering down one vertebra at a time. A few more times. Allow the breath to guide you here. When you raise the pelvis, see if you can create a diagonal line between the knees, the pelvis, and the shoulders. And this time, keeping the hips elevated, we'll interlace our fingers together behind the back, guiding the shoulder blades together, broadening across the heart space. creating space between the chin and the chest. Breathe. Noticing if the knees begin to splay out to the side or if they knock together, seeing if you can keep them aligned with the hips. Releasing the bind and lowering the back down. Great job, knees to chest. You might like to find some knee circles in one direction and the other. Returning the soles of the feet to the earth, you might like to carry on with half bridge or bridge, otherwise coming into wheel pose, Chakrasana, or upward facing bow pose, Urdhva Dhanurasana. Inhale, raise the arms to shoulder height, flex the elbows, place the palms above the shoulders, fingertips facing towards the feet, keeping the elbows facing skywards, and we'll press up, elevating the pelvis. Really using the arms, leg strength here to lengthen the spine, relax the glutes, and gently shift the torso forward, so allowing the heart to come through towards the top of the mat. If it's in your practice, you might like to extend the legs, allowing the inner thighs to scissor together. This is a really deep back extension, so be mindful. Or you might like to lower down onto your forearms. And perhaps again extending the legs in this variation, finding what feels good. One more loving breath in wheel pose, and mindfully lowering down, lowering the head, the upper back, the shoulders, the mid back, the lower back, and the pelvis. From here, heel toeing the feet out to the edge of the mat, allowing the knees to rest against one another, feeling a beautiful expansion around the lower back, guiding your breath to the back body. Feeling a release after that deep spinal extension. Guiding the knees to the chest, again finding any movement that feels nourishing. Noticing if you're still experiencing any compression around the lumbar and sacral regions of the spine. From here, extending the arms out wide at shoulder height, and we'll begin to guide the knees over to one side, through center and the other. Keeping the shoulders connected to the earth, the lower back might elevate slightly, and that's okay. This is a beautiful way to stretch out the back, a slight activation of the core. One more round either side. Drawing the knees to the chest. From here, we'll begin to take some spinal rolls and rock ourselves upright into a seated position. We'll come into one last heart opener, fish pose. So, lowering down onto your elbows are aligned with the shoulders, guiding your palms underneath the sacral region of the spine, and gazing back as you begin to rest the crown of your head on the earth. You might like to keep the knees bent, perhaps extend one leg at a time, and if that feels okay, maybe extending both legs, finding what feels good, and finding stillness. Gently releasing from fish pose, mindfully raising the head and the torso, bending the knees, releasing the palms from under the sacral region of the spine and lowering the back down onto the earth. guiding the right knee to the chest, interlacing your fingers together around the shin and extending the left leg out, wind relieving posture, Paramuktasana. Guiding that right knee towards the right armpit and maybe coming into a spinal twist, using the left palm to guide the right knee over to the left, gazing to the right. Again, keeping both shoulders in contact with the earth and noticing the sensations around the outer hips, the glutes, perhaps the lower to mid back. Inhale, return both knees to the chest, and we'll take this series on the other side. Left knee to left armpit. Maybe staying here or coming into a spinal twist. Breathe. Gently unraveling, drawing the knees to the chest one last time, finding any movement here. And when you're ready, we'll set up for Supta Baddha Konasana, supine butterfly pose. Soles of the feet are touching, grounding down through the blade edges of the feet. The knees are bent, knees are splayed wide, melting towards the earth, softening the hips. Perhaps placing one palm on the belly, the other on the heart space. And reconnecting to the breath, reconnecting to this anchor that is forever with you, forever guiding you to a state of peace and harmony. I invite you to pause the video here and stay in supine butterfly for as long as you like. And when you're ready, closing the hips, drawing the knees together, extending the legs and arms in opposite directions, reanimating the body, and beginning to roll onto one side, keeping the eyes closed. And in your own time, working your way upright into a seated position. Lengthening the spine. Inhale, raise the arms skywards. Exhale, palms to heart center. Recognizing your efforts for showing up here today. The light and the teacher in me honors and salutes the light and the teacher in each and every one of you. Namaste.